Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak, and this happens to be episode 298. We're getting ever closer to that number 300. I can't wait. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, blah, 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 I highly recommend checking it out. You can see the healed eyeball, my eyeball. Oh. I had surgery on the eyeball this past, uh, was it this week? Yeah, it was this week. Yeah. So I had surgery on Wednesday. They went in and poked in a new lens. It's actually a pretty neat procedure. I went online and watched them do this surgery just so I could see what it was like. Um, they go in to the eye from the side. They gave me some eye drops, I guess, to really, really numb the eye. The lady came in like every few seconds and just squirted the ball. I just felt drop after drop. And she did that, multiple times over and over and over. And then they let me sit there for a while. And then they wheeled me back into the operating area. And she's like, we're gonna give you some of this Versed, and it's gonna make you take a little nap. And when you get up, we'll be doing this or whatever. I never took a nap. I did close both my eyes because the light was bright in my good eye, and the other eye was completely dark. I couldn't see anything. But um it wasn't really uncomfortable. Uh, the medicine, when they put it in the IV, it did burn my arm going in, and it took a little while for it to kind of get in my blood system. I was really hungry because uh, they said don't eat anything or drink anything after midnight the night before, and my appointment wasn't until like 10:45. So I normally get up early and have coffee, and I didn't have anything. It's like Pavlovian. You normally wake up, and your system is like, "Hey, are we gonna have some coffee? Are we gonna start the day like we normally do?" And I just had to keep telling myself, "No, we're not gonna do anything. We're just gonna sit here and wait till it's time." Went to the appointment. I'm still like, God, I'm hungry, and they kind of gave me some warnings of what the anesthesia was going to do. I didn't really knock out. The point of that medicine is not to make you go to sleep, but to make you not twitch, so that when they go to do the surgery, you don't move your head because they're doing really careful work on your eye. He made an incision. I didn't have a cataract to clean out. That was on the previous surgery back on October 15th. This was the final surgery. They made a little incision. He slid the new lens in and moved it to the right direction where it should be, and stitched it up, and that was it. Um, they were talking to me as they were doing it and asking questions, and I was kind of commenting on things they were talking about, and it was a very relaxed kind of situation. But I was done before I knew it. They had my stepdad come and pick me up. He had drove me down there, and he had to wait in the car because of COVID, and there's not enough room in that waiting room. But they called him on the phone and said you can come pick him up, and we left. And as we left, he's like, "So you're hungry?" I said, "Yeah, I definitely am hungry." So we stopped by a little Bojangles and got us a biscuit, which was great. I mean, I always enjoy Bojangles, especially you know when I was so hungry. But I had my wife's favorite. And when I say that, like we all have our favorite biscuit, like our go-to every time we go somewhere. And normally my go-to is something like the spicy chicken sandwich or the spicy chicken biscuit, or their bacon, egg, and cheese. The bacon, egg, and cheese is always great. It's not as great as it used to be. They used to use thicker cuts of bacon, and they used to actually cook it enough that it would be crunchy. They don't do that anymore. They're getting more and more like McDonald's in the fact that they use that bacon that you can almost see through. McDonald's is just, in my opinion, McDonald's is not worth it anymore. Everything they have is fake. It's not even, well, except for the quarter pounder. The quarter pounder is legit, but like their bacon on their bacon, egg, and cheese, you can literally hold up and see through it, and it's ridiculous. I don't even know how they passed the test of it calling it bacon. It's just crazy. But Bojangles still uses decent bacon. Now, could they cook it a little longer? Sure, that'd be great. Will they? Probably not, but they used to. Their biscuits are still good. Their eggs are still good. I like the fact that they're not uniform. It shows me that they're actually cracking eggs and making it from scratch, not from some weird formula from a factory like McDonald's. So shout out to Bojangles. I got my wife's favorite, which is the steak, egg, and cheese. It's a country fried steak with an egg and cheese. Delicious. And I eat it like I was a homeless man. I just, just loving it. And we got on the road heading back. And as we were heading back towards Florence, I started getting a headache, started feeling kind of woozy. I was playing around with my new eyeball. I was looking at all kind of stuff, as we were going, and I was freaking out. I was like, hey, I can see that, and I can see that, and I can read those. And I don't know, between that, the choice of food after amnesia or anesthesia, not amnesia, that's a different thing. Uh, the choice of food and the anesthesia wearing off, I kind of got a little sick to my stomach. And when I got home, I was like tired. I felt like I needed to rest. My body knew I'd been through something, and my body was like, we should rest. And I'm like, that's a good idea. So I came home and I took some ibuprofen, and I ate a couple of complete tabs, drank some water, and laid down. And I think I dozed off for about an hour or so. When I got up, I felt sick to my stomach again. I was like, oh, this isn't good. And at one time, I literally ran to the sink because I was like, it's gonna happen now, and it didn't. Thank God. I don't like to throw up. That's just nasty. And I'm sorry if I'm saying throw up a lot because I know a lot of you are on your way to work and you're probably eating a biscuit right now from Bojangles, and you're just like, hey, would you stop talking about this thing? And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. So anyway, we'll move past it. So I got to feeling better. Before I knew it, I was feeling better. My wife was getting off work. She's like, I'm heading home. I said, well, we didn't plan anything for dinner. She's like, don't worry about it. I'm gonna stop by Zaxby's and bring us home some chicken of some kind. What do you want? And I said, I don't want to eat a lot. I kind of want to eat some of the just chicken tenders. And she says, okay. So she brought them chicken tenders and we snacked on them, and that was okay. And I felt good. And I went to bed that night, and they told me that after the surgery I was gonna have to wear this eye shield for like a week. And it's a plastic eye shield. um, Picture like the jock strap that people, guys have to wear when they're playing sports. Picture that, but for your eyeball. Okay. And you put it on your face and you use this metaderm tape to kind of stick it to your face. And it's supposed to keep your eye protected for when you sleep and you're rolling around and you accidentally, you don't even realize you're doing it, but you wake up and your face is on your pillow and your pillow is like smooshed into your eyeball, or you're in your sleep and you rub your face with your eye and you hit it really hard, just not paying attention. I'm not saying that you do it, but maybe I do it. I don't know. Maybe you do it too. Who knows? What do you do? So I had this thing on my eye, and they sent me home with it on, and I had to leave it that way for the entire time until my next appointment, which was the following day. So get up the next morning, we go down to Columbia. They take the bandage off, or she says, you can go ahead and take the bandage off. I'm like, what? I get to touch it. So I took it off, and immediately she puts up this little thing on the wall and she goes, go ahead and read me that line. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Time out, time out. I said, you got to give me a second. I said, this is the first time I've been able to see in like 6 months. This is the first time that I could process images. And my brain is literally doing this weird thing right now where it's like I had like double vision. Like I could see the light of the little square they wanted me to read off of. And there was like a ghost light that was off to the left. And I was like, look, hang on, hang on, hang on. I kept talking, just stalling, basically. Um, and finally, it got to where the image of the square was like zeroing in. It was my brain processing the images. I remember science class where they talked about how your vision, all the images that you see, go into your brain and they flip flop upside down, and they're processed by your optical, whatever, whatever that's called, your optical receptors in the back of your brain. So it was my brain using new horsepower that it hadn't had to use in the last 6 months to then go, oh, we can actually see something out of this. The light is producing these photons and these images, and oh, let's see if we can actually make sense of what we're looking at. And so it was a process. For the longest time, my left eye, which is not my normal dominant eye, has had to do all of the work, or 90% of the work. And here it was. Now I didn't have to. So now there's a difference in your depth perception. You use both eyes to like be able to see something, reach out and touch it. Because so just by learned behavior of seeing it out of your eyes, how far away it is. And when you go to one eye, it's a whole new thing of, oh, it's not there, it's over here. Like you gotta relearn all that stuff. So this needed to happen at an accelerated rate because she's sitting there going, read me the chart. And I'm like, Jesus, give me a second. There should be like a timeout, which I gave a timeout, thank God. I mean, I had a conversation with my oldest today about how once in a while in life, you just need to stand up for yourself and you need to say, hey, give me a second. Let me do this again, or let me try harder. I wasn't ready. You can say that kind of stuff. So this was a situation where I could say that, and I did. And then I read off the stuff, and she kept showing up smaller and smaller images of letters, and I was able to read them. And it got pretty small. I was pretty impressed. She was pretty impressed. She was like, "Wow, that's 20/40 vision." And I was like, "I don't know what that is." I've always heard of the word 20/20 because there's a TV show about it, and whenever people, oh, I got the perfect 20/20 vision, you hear that kind of stuff. Um, I know from all of these eye appointments that my left eye actually has better than 20/20 vision, which I didn't know. Um, but maybe it did that to compensate for the bad eye. Maybe it made my stupid brain put it into hyper focus so that I could actually process the images. But now I got 20/40 out of my bad eye, which is good. I didn't know exactly what that meant until I went outside and we were heading home, and I got to Google it later. Apparently, with 20/40 vision, I'm legal to drive. I'm legal to drive my CDL truck. So I got to wait for the lifting restriction to get lifted. And my next appointment is on the 12th of April. And I'm assuming that when I go back, he's going to be like, okay, um, I know I got to go back to him after a month of the surgery to have the final stitch removed. There's one stitch still in there. And I know it looks kind of bad right now. I mean, I'm showing you images on YouTube if you're looking at YouTube. And I'll put a picture as like the header on this as well. I know it looks bad right now, but it actually looks great to me. It looks better than it has looked. Even though the redness is something that's, most people go, "Oh my God, the red." Yeah, whatever. It doesn't hurt. It'll heal. It's actually healing very, very rapidly. Um, Dr. Cross told me, he said, "This is different than your other surgery. Your other surgery had a lot of damage and a lot of things that were fixed. Your lens was removed. You had cornea, you had retinal damage. You had corneal damage, and you had to have cataract removed." He goes, "That took a long time to heal. Now, this is just a lens being put in." And he said, what you're going to find is it's going to heal pretty rapidly. You're going to have exponential healing. It's going to get better and better every day. And I was like, that's great news. Yay. That's my yay. That's my yay for the week. That's my big win for the week. And I've realized that in life, you have to take big wins because you don't know when accidents are going to happen. You don't know when tragedy is going to happen. You don't know when things are going to suddenly turn to where you're floundering and going, what do I do? So take the win. Take the win and say thank you. So thank you. Thank you to all of the people involved. Thank you to all of the surgeons. Thank you to all of the people who've called and lended their support. Thank you to Treadaway for being on the podcast as much as he has, just to help me do something with this podcast. Thank you to Greg for giving me the idea of playing Animal Crossing on Nintendo Switch. And as stupid as that sounds, it has become highly entertaining for me to do. It's been something to keep my brain active and busy. Thank you to Lori and Danny Shaw and Cheryl Walker for giving us fun stuff to do with friends. Thank you to my wife, Dolores, for, God, just putting up with me. I mean, I know how terrifying it must have been for her because, I mean, in this family, I've kind of been the rock of everything. I mean, I've been able to weather a lot of things, you know, in an ever-changing climate. I'm the constant in a lot of ways. And this injury was one that really threw us for a loop. And we got lucky. Thank you to my mom for, being there and stepping up and saying, "Hey, whatever you need, just ask." I've said it before. My mom, I feel like in life, my mom is my cheat code that I refuse to use. I don't want to use it. I want to figure it out on my own. But she is, a very pivotal person in life. And I know that if I were to fall completely on my face, she'd be like, "I got you." And I won't have that forever. And I know how precious that is. And, thank you. Thank you to my stepdad. I'm so thankful that he was made to retire because of his heart and his blood pressure. I mean, because if he hadn't have been there to help me, I mean, I'd be taking an Uber to my doctor's appointment. I mean, I had guys I work with that reached out, was like, "Hey, if you need help cutting the grass, I can go and cut the grass for you." I mean, thank you, Champ Lambert, Byron Covington. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. All the people who randomly reached out and asked about it. Thank you. I hope to be back to normal. I mean, by next Tuesday, I could be back at work, back in rotation. Thank you to my company. Listen, there's a lot of companies that I've worked for in the past that would have cut me loose. They'd have been like, "Well, we don't need to invest in this guy." Thank God I work for Performance Foods. I've never mentioned that before. I've never talked about the fact that the company I work for, Performance Food Group, PFG. If you go online and look up pfgc.com/careers, or just go on pfgc.com, you can see jobs available. And we're hiring. We're up. Business is up. We are doing great as a company. We are showing record growth right now, higher than any year we've ever had, even in summertime. And we need people to work in the warehouse. We need people that are drivers. Look up Florence location. I mean, if we have a satellite program, they're still hiring out of Florence to work in those programs in those areas. So if you're in Augusta, Columbia, Charleston, Savannah, Goldsboro, Wilmington, St. Paul, North Carolina, any of those areas, check it out. Those are the people just connected to Florence. But we're nationwide. We're actually global as a company. So they stuck with me. I've been with them 13 years, going on 14. They stuck with me and they said, "No, we know what we invested in. He's going to get well and he's going to come back. And it's worth it." So thank you. Thank you to my company. So I feel good. I felt good. I feel like I got something off my chest. Is that okay? I mean, I know in the past I kind of, piss and moan about work being hard and I'm so tired and blah, 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 blah. But I am thankful. So let's pivot. I got reached out to today, or not today. I got reached out to recently by let's just say family member. I don't exactly know how we're related. It's kind of complicated. But anyway, I got reached out to by a family member who said, "Hey, I got this friend of mine who's got a podcast who really wants to collaborate with you. And it's okay if I get you in touch with him." And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, collaborate? What's going on? It's the thing that I've been talking about growing community and about growing the distance between people, just reaching out, communicating, bridging those lines, sharing your experience. Snoop Dogg said, "Ain't no fun unless your friends have some." Listen, he's talking about something different. But anyway, this is the same mentality. These guys have a podcast. It's called, I wrote it down. I don't want to get it wrong. Cinema Chop Shop. Yeah, Cinema Chop Shop. I have dyslexia, so even reading it, I have to make sure I say it right. Cinema Chop Shop. You can find it everywhere where podcasts are available. It's great. I just listened to an episode where they talked about the premise of their podcast is they take movies that are at least 10 years old and they recast it with new people. And it's great. It's like a game show with friends that are talking about how they would recast roles and things they would do differently and how they would. It's a brilliant idea and it's a brilliant show and it's funny and it's fun. And I scrolled through some of the episodes, and on January 28th they had done one on time travel. It was actually time travel number 2. And I like time travel. You guys know that if you're listening to this. Oh, Josh is psychedelic. He likes the time travel, aliens, ghosts. Anyway, so I saw the subject time travel and I was like, "Hey, I want to listen to this one." And each episode's just over an hour. But I really enjoyed it. I like their ideas on who they cast for different things, and I like some of the movies they've reviewed. And I actually had to Google some of the people because I'm like, dang, I don't know if I'm smart enough to keep up with this, because it is a lot of the actors that they had prepared, which I guess I'm sure a lot of people feel that way when I talk about Star Wars stuff and who they cast for things and things they've been in before, because it is what you know, right? For every one of us, it's what we know. whatever you're into, but maybe not everybody's into. So it does help to kind of have some images. And, I've mentioned before that there's a lot of people who are really savvy on YouTube who have an engineering staff and they go, I really like so and so in this role. And like they'll have like images pop up. Boom, 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 great, cool. I wish I had an engineer to do that. I don't have an engineer to do that. It's just me. I'm here in my little podcast X bedroom, one of my kids' bedrooms. That's if you saw this place right now, you'd be like, "Holy crap!" Because we are renovating the house and repainting and so there is literally furniture and stuff everywhere, everywhere. I'm looking at there's two rugs right here beside me, and all kind of doodads and plants and stuff that aren't normally in here, and I'm just like, "There's a lot going on, man." Check out my Instagram. It's Joshua Peak or Josh Peak. I don't exactly remember. Joshua Peak, yeah. And I put pictures up there on the house being in various stages of repaint. We have painters coming tomorrow. We've done most of the painting so far, but we have painters coming tomorrow because in my living room and fancy dining room that I'm not allowed to eat in, kind of a running joke, we have really tall ceilings. I had to get up on a ladder and use a mop on a stick thing, one of those square mops that you wet the pad and put on it. And I had to like wash the walls off because I had, spider webs. And we've been in this house 13 years. So it was a lot to clean. I want to make sure that when the painters come in tomorrow, they don't have to do anything but get to work and paint because I took all of the stuff off the walls. I took all of the little outlet covers off the thing, wiped down the walls. All the furniture is moved out except for certain big things are in the center of the room. They can just throw painter's tarps over them. Plenty of room for them to put up scaffolding or ladders or any of that stuff. So we got that going on tomorrow. And honestly, we wouldn't have done it had there not been this stimulus money that come out. It just happened to come out at the right time. And we were feeling antsy and like, I don't know, let's work on this. And you guys, I don't know if you saw the project that we did upstairs, but we put laminate flooring down upstairs. We took up the carpet and got that click together laminate flooring that you get from lumber liquidators. And it looks great. We repainted up there, and that's kind of what started this. We repainted up there, and then we did the bedroom next to here in this bathroom. And we did this past weekend our master bathroom, shower, toilet area, and the office area. And all we have left once these guys finish is this room, which is going to be a nightmare, as Bert Kreischer calls it. Nightmare. I don't know why he pronounces it that way. Any Bert Kreischer fans out there? He says he calls it. He says a lot of stuff really weird. um, Ben Affleck, not Ben Affleck, but Ben Affleck is what he calls it. And tattoo. He wants a tattoo, not a tattoo, but a tattoo. So weird. I don't know what got me sidetracked. Sorry, I got ADHD also. All right, steer back. What was I talking about? This is a lot easier when I have Treadaway with me because he can go. We were talking about this. Oh yeah. So anyway, um, oh yeah. So we're gonna do this room, which is gonna be a nightmare, as I said before. We got the hallway going upstairs, the stairwell area, which I'm still working on the stairs. I've put photos and videos on everything, YouTube, Instagram, of the process of that. I've been refinishing them with some stain, recaulked the corners and all the little sections where there was openings. And my next step is to paint the risers and the thing that runs along the side called a stringer. I'm going to repaint those and the handrail with this white trim paint, which is a semi-gloss. It looks really good. But I got to start doing that at some point. I may do that tomorrow while the painters are doing in there. That way, two birds, one stone, right? Is that the saying? So anyway, um, and then we got to do our bedroom, which is pretty big, but also kind of easy compared to the bathroom where there's a lot of those little nooks and crannies that you gotta do the edging on and the trim work. Thank you, Cheryl, for your trim work. By the way, she does it without any tape. She doesn't make any marks. It's incredible. It's like a work of art. Uh, and then we'll be done. Yeah. Oh, our kitchen. Got to do our kitchen. Yeah. Forgot the kitchen. But the kitchen's really not that much wall. It's just the hard part is some of it is up on a counter above the where the cabinets are. That's going to be tough. Um, but anyway, so shout out to see, I got totally distracted. Shout out to Cinema Chop Shop. Check out their podcast. Tell them you heard them here. Stuff I heard. Give them a shout out. We're going to be collaborating on something. A guy named Travis and I are going to be doing something. So, um, my wife's favorite stuff to watch lately is on Disney Plus. They have the National Geographic channel, and we've been watching a lot of the nature shows. And it's actually very relaxing. You're getting ready to go to bed towards the end of the evening, and like that last hour, each show's like 30 minutes long. You watch a couple shows on nature, and it's always done by some narrator who's like, "Here we see the penguin trying to establish his dominance, but on the horizon, a snow leopard." You know, you're like, "Oh no," but it's also kind of soothing in a way. I mean, always shot very fantastic. I don't know what they pay the people at National Geographic's photography group, but man, they get some incredible images. There was a what's the what's the thing called, the snow leopard? The It swims in the water. Sea leopard, a sea leopard. Yeah, yeah. And they're always speaking in like metrics. So the female of the species can be 13 meters, and I'm like, what? Or however many meters it was, and I had to look it up. Maybe he said like 4, 5, 6 meter, whatever the meters is. I used Google to figure it out, and it was like 13.2 feet long. I was like, geez, that's a big animal. And it said that their teeth are like the size of your thumb. And I was like, that's frightening. And then some dude, they're in they're in supposedly South America, but they're on the tip where it gets close to Antarctica. And this guy's in the water where ice is breaking up from icebergs, and he's filming this sea leopard eating a penguin. Like, he stalks the penguin and he thrashes it. I was like, oh my goodness. At a certain point, this thing comes up to the cameraman with its mouth open, and I was like, ah. Whatever they're paying that dude, it ain't enough. I'm just saying. So we've been watching that. I also watched a quick little series on Netflix called The Crew. Now, The Crew stars Kevin James. He's a stand-up comedian and a comedic actor. Probably most kids today know him as Paul Blart, Mall Cop. Um, he's been in lots of stuff. He is really funny. Uh, when I was younger, he was on King of Queens. Great show with Leah Remini. Um, this is good. My wife said she didn't care for it, but I really enjoyed it. I actually laughed out loud quite a bit. I know a lot of the actors and the actresses are stand-up comedians and writers, and they're probably just like also friends of everybody involved. Like the staff that writes and the staff that are acting are probably really close. And the dynamic is funny. The scenarios are funny. It's literally everything you would expect if Kevin James took over a NASCAR situation as a crew chief. I mean, it's he's just hilarious. I don't know why I crack up at it. Some of the sets look like sets that they've used before for other things, which is not uncommon. But I mean, if you didn't watch any of his other stuff, you wouldn't recognize that stuff. But um, funny scenarios, funny plot. The episodes are quick and easy. It's good family humor, and it's cute. It's really cute. I liked it. So, shout out to Kevin James, and um, Bruce McGill is like his old boss who's retiring. He's supposed to be the old owner of the team, and he's going to be retiring and going to Hawaii, and he's letting his daughter take over because she graduated from Stanford and thinks she can run the place. And she comes in and she's got all these new ideas about how they're going to do things, and she gets rid of their old sponsor, which is like a barbecue joint, and then suddenly puts fake steak as the new sponsor, and it's supposed to be like a mushroom kind of meat that's supposed to taste like steak, and it's really nasty, and they all have to pretend they like it, and it's really bad. And but they're throwing money at the team, and they're like, "Yeah, we got to do this, man. This is what we're doing." Like, we're not doing that, and it's so funny because it's in a lot of ways it's the old ways moving into the new ways, and the reality that a team needs money to operate, and in order to be successful, sometimes you got to spend more money than you currently have. So you got to shake things up a little bit. And sometimes in shaking things up, you make everybody upset. And in that process, sometimes you realize it's what's necessary. And so that's my watch this of the week. Watch The Crew on Netflix. It's pretty good. I didn't watch much else besides the surgery. We've been painting or moving furniture or removing wall outlets or washing walls almost every minute of every day. So, other than sleeping and eating and doing that, that's it. And we'll be doing that for the next week. I know I'm getting ready to come up on my 300th episode. I do have a plan. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm trying to get something to work here where I do like a compilation of like past guests. Trying to coordinate it. I don't think time's going to let me do it. I think it's just going to end up being what it's going to be. And my goal was, though, to do like a compilation, but I don't know. We'll see if I can work it out. With that being said, I'm off. Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, I tell people, promote what makes you happy, promote the people that are doing positive things, you know, take a chance, do something great. If you have something crappy, try to reach out to the company. That's the other thing I want to talk about. I have this stupid, I know this is going to sound stupid. I told you about mopping the walls with the square mop thing. I have this mop. It's called O Cedar is the name of the brand. And we've been using it on our hardwood floors and it's fine. And it broke. So I ordered another one. And while I was waiting for it to come here, I went to the dollar store. I paid $1. Well, I didn't pay $1, but my wife paid $1 for a square looking mop on a handle. And that's what I use for the walls. And this other square mop head thing from O Cedar, using it for the floors, get it in the mail, put it together, go to wipe the floors, it breaks again in the same exact little pivoty joint. I put a picture of it on my tag of this podcast. It really bothers me that a company would make a product that's going to fail on a regular basis. And I got a dollar one that works great. It doesn't have the head that I want. But I mean, if you looked at the two ends of these, how the handle meets the pivot joint, the O Cedar brand looks like they just gave up, like they took the easy out. So anyway, I reached out to them on Instagram and Twitter, wrote them a message. I'm going to see if they follow up. Fingers crossed. If you know anybody that works for those companies, ask them. Say, hey, what are you doing to fix this problem? Because other than that, it's a really nice mop head. It has a large surface area. You put a little pad on it. You can wash the pads. That part's great. The handle's comfortable. But that pivot joint where it meets that base is made weak. It comes down to a single point into a section and it pops. And I had this one 2 days and it popped. It's the second one that's popped in 2 days. So, I'm really hopeful that they'll reach out to me or something to try to fix this. All I need is that little corner piece. So, that's it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this. Check out Cinema Chop Shop. And yeah, that's it. Appreciate y'all listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. If you want to be part of this podcast, let me know. We'll do something. I'm going to be doing something with Cinema Chop Shop, some kind of collaboration. Maybe I'll be a guest. Would that be fun? The game show part of it looks really fun. You guys need to check it out, seriously. But yeah. So with that being said, I'm off. And as always, remember, cue the cow.